Fantastic. Should I stream this? What the heck, right? So let's talk about something that is near and dear to my heart as the marketplace changes. Anyone noticing the marketplace changing?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So how are you guys finding it changing?
Open house doesn't have a lot of people showing.
Okay. Open house has less people showing up. Good. All right. Who else?
The property in the market a little bit longer.
So the properties are staying on the market a little bit longer. Correct. Got it. Okay. What else?
Price reduction. You need to always ask the seller to price, get it sold.
So that's perfect, Anna. We didn't have very many of those over the last few years, did we? Price reductions.
Yes.
No, in fact, properties were sold very, very quickly. Okay, absolutely. All right. So things are changing. A number of you have never been in this changing market. Some of you have, but we kind of forget some of the things that are going on. And I was actually talking to Mike Ferry about this yesterday because I've really reached back into my bag of tricks and brought a number of things out to remind you. One of them happens to be the 5510. And some of you that are actually implementing the 5510 are getting some nice listing leads and getting some opportunities that you wouldn't have gotten before. We'll talk more about that a bit. But what I wanted to talk about today is what I call reality check. I've done one of these probably at the end of last year or the first of this year. So basically, we've had, as of Thursday, 6 full months go by in 2022. And for the most part, business has been a little off. Sales are off a little bit. In other words, the pie is slightly shrinking, and it was small to begin with. The number of saleable listings has been small. And the number of agents eating on the pie has grown dramatically over the last 2 or 3 years. Yes or no? More agents out there, right? Okay. So I'm telling you, there are going to be less agents. I read in one of the magazines just recently that thousands of real estate agents will be leaving the market. I want to remind you of a statistic. Okay, I don't know if you guys remember this, that over 45% of all agents in the multiple listing service in most offices haven't sold a piece of property in over a year. When I say sold, I mean closed. You guys get that? And that's for lack of leadership, that's for lack of training, that's for lack of a lot of things. And I'm on the phone probably 6 or 8 times a week talking to real estate agents. And one of my questions outside the company, and one of my questions is, what is your company helping you with right now to move forward and get going? You guys have role play? Do you have scripts and dialogues? Do you have, constant training all day long? What have they had conversations with you, et cetera, et cetera. And the answer, the almost unanimous answer, and I'm not sure I believe the one that said he got some information, has been, my company hasn't brought me anything. So not the case here, but I want to push it a little further. I really need to light a fire under you guys. All right. This is not going to get, it's going to get a little bit worse before it gets better. All right. But that's great for us. This is when we excel. This is when we shine. But I want you to have a reality check. So if nothing else is motivating you right now, maybe this will wake you up. So I wrote down here, as parents, we want the best for our children. We want the best education, the best jobs. We try to help by giving advice, by giving suggestions, by giving direction. We've been there. We have lives that we've been through these situations. You know, when your kids ask for your advice and they seek your counsel, when they want guidance and you give it to them, and then they ignore it. How do you feel, parents? How does that make you feel? Tess, when you tell your kids with all your genius and ideas and stuff for them, and they don't take your advice, how does that make you feel?
Frustrated and disappointed.
Right. You want to beat them with a stick, right?
Yes, sometimes.
Okay, exactly. So those of you that had kids know what I'm talking about here. Okay. So it makes you unhappy and frustrated with you. Well, I'm not your parent. Okay. I'm not your dad. However, you guys have come to us because we know what we're doing. We've helped many of you before, and maybe you think, wow, maybe this program can help me. You know, we've done this a lot of times and helped a lot of people get it right. So when we line up what to do and how to do it with a great deal of detail and follow up to encourage you and lead you, please be careful of the questions that you ask. Take advantage of the opportunity. So here's a question I have for you. How much of what we suggest, we line out, we plan out, do you do? You don't need to answer. Just write down the question and make a note to yourself, 10%, 5%, 50%, 150%. Okay? Why? Why don't you do all of it is my next question. So let's do this reality check. To make sure you know what is expected of you in life, I wanted to give you a few tips of what to expect about certain things. So here's a question. You can write it down or you can get this from me later. Do you have a home, and does your home have equity? Do you have life insurance? If you passed away, God forbid, I'm not giving anything to you, but if you passed away tomorrow, how would your family survive? Who would take care of the kids? If you have some insurance, is it enough? One of the things I talk about with insurance is if you have $1 million or $2 million and you make only $50,000 a year, you die and your kids are 10 years old, the $1 million at best will pay out 3 to 4%. So that's $40,000 a year. So you're spending 50, you're now not around, and you're only going to get 3 to 4% on your $1 million. So that's 40,000. And if you pay taxes on the 40,000 that you get, so now you probably only have 35,000 to spend. And because you don't have, because your spouse doesn't have a spouse to hire some help, maybe the spouse is going to marry the wrong person for the wrong reasons. And then what happens?
You were at the whole time.
What's going to happen? Here's another question. Do you have health insurance? Do you have long-term care insurance? When we get old, how will you be taken care of? How much will it cost you to send? So let me underline that. We have somebody in our family that was just diagnosed with a very, very, in my opinion, most serious disease. And it's called ALS. And ALS is, those of you that know the name Lou Gehrig, that's what Lou Gehrig died of. And it's a disease of deteriorating of the body. It just, first you can't move your arms, then you can't move your legs, then breathing becomes very difficult, your speech becomes very difficult, you can't eat. It's horrible. It's a terrible disease. But if you don't have long-term care, then that money comes out of your pocket. That's an issue. I wrote down here, how much will it cost you to send each kid to college? How many kids do you have? Do you want to send your kids to college? When I went to high school, when I grew up, high school was the bare minimum. You had to have a high school education. Today, I think you have to have a college education, which is the equivalent of what I had to have when I went to school. So I don't have a college education, but I fared okay. I think the children today all need to have a college education. That costs some money, even for the least expensive schools and in-state schools, it still costs. So how much does it cost to send your kids to school? Sit down, write it out, figure it out. What do you have set aside for retirement? Is there anything? Oh, can I have it? Is there any, thank you so much. Is there anything set aside for retirement? What is your retirement plan? Some people's retirement plan is they buy a lottery ticket every week. That's their retirement plan. So if that's your retirement plan, talk to me about it. Let me help you with it. But we all come to the retirement age. I will tell you, we planned and planned. My wife and I planned and planned and planned and planned, and thought we did a pretty nice job. And I will tell you, recently, I actually
Put avocado on it or no?
collecting Social Security now. Isn't that cool? And I'm only collecting Social Security because you have to collect it at 71 years old. Okay, I didn't have an option, so I kept putting it off and putting it off. And then I didn't get it for a year. So you have to take it at 71, and they'll pay you with it. So I get, I don't know, $3,500 a month for Social Security now. Pretty cool. Almost pays for the car test. What are you going to do for retirement? What's your plan? Are your federal and state taxes paid? Now, some of you are probably saying, geez, I don't need this depressing stuff. Yeah, you do. You need it for two reasons. A, the market's changing and you need to rev up your engines, everybody. Everybody needs to rev up their engines, okay? That's number one. And number two, you've got to prepare for these kinds of things. Stuff happens. Really, it's pretty crazy out there. Okay. I wrote down here, do you have money set aside for emergency? Cars break down, kids get sick, batteries fails. Do you have money set aside to pay 3 months expenses for an emergency? What if your spouse gets ill and their income isn't coming in? How's your credit? This is a big one. Can you get a loan? If you need one, can you get a loan? Is your credit cleaned up? If it's not, get in there and scrub your credit clean. This is life. I wrote down here, this is life. You can stay at home and you can blame the economy. You can blame Congress. You can blame your broker. You can blame the bad market. You can blame your spouse. You can blame bad luck, or you can take action. Wherever you are now does not mean you have to stay there. Write that down. Wherever you are now doesn't mean you have to stay there. A, it's my job to let you know you need to have these things for yourself. B, it's my job to lead our team to help you make money during this marketplace, okay? And I wrote down here, so wherever you are now doesn't mean you have to stay there. And it also goes for someone that has it all together, but if you don't pay attention, you don't stay on top and it can all be taken away from you. So you're in good shape, great. Let's keep it going. Let's build on that. Stock market took a drop here, quite a few points in the last few months. So some people that were getting ready to retire were looking forward to this income coming out, and then all of a sudden, the market, let's say they had a couple $1 million in the marketplace, and the marketplace dropped 20-25%. That's out of $2 million, that's $500,000. So now you only have $1.5 million left. Okay, that's a wake-up call for somebody that's getting ready to retire. I wrote down a question. Why don't you do what you know you're supposed to do? Anybody want to answer that? Take a stab at it. Why don't you do what you're supposed to do? Anyone? So I wrote down here, because you think you have options. Because you think you have options. Okay, let's talk about the options. All right. Okay, one option is you have a rich relative and they're going to leave you money. Okay, that could happen. That's neat. Even if they don't have as much money as they do today, people are living longer. So let's say you have the rich relative and they have money. What I find in almost every case is most people don't have as much money as you think they have. And if they live longer, that money starts to diminish over time. So the $2 million you thought you were going to inherit really comes down to $1.2 million. And $1.2 million just doesn't go as far as it used to. So how about this one? You're going to do the big deal. We're going to sell that big house and we're going to sell it for $2, $3, $4 million. Okay. You're going to have a $4 million sale. Well, by the time even if you got 100% of the check on a $3 million deal and it was a full commission at your 3%, that's $90,000. $90,000 is not an amount to sneeze at. But let me ask you a real question. Don't answer aloud, but just think about it. How far does $90,000 take you? How far does $90,000 really take you in the scheme of things, especially if you're looking at it from a retirement perspective? Okay. How about getting a job back at what I used to do? A real job. Okay, I used to work at Nordstrom's. I came into real estate for a few years. I made some decent money, but not as much as I could have. And now I don't have a job. Okay. So there are jobs out there, but oh, wait a minute. What just happened 2 weeks ago? Three things actually. What happened in the last 60 days? Interest rates went up, right? Everybody remember that? When interest rates go up, what happens to the lenders? The lenders start letting go of their loan reps, their escrow people, their transaction people, their management team. All those guys are gone. Okay, 30-40%. And Chase just, so Redfin did that, Compass did that. Those are real estate companies. Most of the lenders did that. And Chase, which I didn't even know this, is one of the largest banks in the nation or maybe the world, just let off 1,000 people because of what's going on in the marketplace. So those jobs are not out there anymore. Nordstrom's, all retail is downsizing. JCPenney is almost non-existent. So what are our options, ladies and gentlemen? What are our options? Hello? Anybody want to talk to me? So I wrote down here, today matters. We have the plan, we have the systems. Agents that work the plan are succeeding. If you're doing some of the plan, commit to doing more of it. If you're not doing the plan, start doing the plan today. If you're not working and you're not following up on leads, you're going to be running into quite a situation. So I had this other thing I wanted to share with you. And so draw a line on all of that. And if you don't change and you don't take action, then you're going to run into this other thing I called stubbornness. Stubbornness. What is stubbornness costing you? So a number of years ago, I was driving in going down to Palm Springs with my wife, and there was a sign, billboard, and it said on this sign, it said, thousands of men will die this year due to stubbornness. Thousands of men will die this year due to stubbornness. Whoa, that got my attention, you know? So what do they mean by stubbornness? Okay. So the sign was referring to men who failed to seek medical attention for prostate cancer. Okay. So people that don't get this checked out are going to die because they're stubborn. Beyond being stubborn about our medical health, what else can stubbornness cost us? Anyone?
It's failure.
Failure. Stubbornness can cost us business, so then therefore we could fail.
Money.
Is that what?
Loss of money.
Loss of money. Okay. So I wrote down here, stubbornness can also prevent us from achieving our professional goals. Okay. Why don't you learn your scripts and dialogues? Because it's not me. But other people are making money because of it. I know, but it's not me. There's ways that I could help you overcome a commission cut because of this great script that we're using. It's not me. Is that person being a little bit stubborn? Yes or no? Okay, a little bit. So stop doing that to yourselves. Okay. So this year, thousands of real estate agents have and will fail to meet their goals due to stubbornness. 6 months have gone by. Why don't you go work for sale by owners? Stubbornness. Why don't you go learn the scripts and dialogues to work expires? Stubbornness. Why don't you get up and door knock and do a 5-5-10? Stubbornness. Am I off base? Am I wrong? Is there another thing that you're just being stubborn? Neil thought of the idea and we don't want to follow Neil. What do you think about that one?
I think it's fear of failure.
Fear of failure. Okay. But is that a little bit of stubbornness on our part? I mean, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people doing some of the activities that we recommend here. And yet, and Nancy, you're one of them, and crazy effective and crazy successful.
Well, I call for sale by owners and visit them, but then they don't want to list and they just want me to bring a buyer. So I get discouraged and then I stop talking to them.
Okay, but that's not fear of failure. That's just at some point you just don't want to deal with them anymore. But remember, Nance, and I think we talked about this before, anytime somebody wants you to bring a buyer, in my opinion, that's an off-market opportunity. And you could turn around to your buyers and say, I have off-market opportunities. Would you like to go see this? I think there's something we could do with that one, Nancy. A little bit more than what we're doing. Okay. So I wrote down here, stubbornness is refusing to change one's opinion or actions despite the attempts to persuade one to make changes that will benefit them. It is being bullheaded and resistant to change in spite of every reasonable argument. Being stubborn is a behavior that often stems from either ignorance or laziness. Okay? Not sure where I got that paragraph from. Must have read it in a book because I don't talk like that. That's a smart paragraph. The tough questions each of us should ask ourselves. Am I as successful as I want to be? Do I follow the advice of my broker and or coach, mentor, or high achieving agents? Am I seeing the professional results that I want? If the answer is no to these questions, then ask yourself, is that because I'm being stubborn? And I wrote down here, if you think you may be stubborn, acknowledging it is the first step to recovery from being stubborn.
Hey, Neil.
Sir.
Yeah, just talking about what she was talking, the for sale by owners, talking about stubbornness is also being complacent, meaning that some very successful agents, like you said, they make a lot of money from past clients or the center of influence. So the business comes sometimes easy because it's, a referral. And then when that business stops, you change totally. And now you need to fight with the for sale by owner. That change alone is a problem there. That is what probably stubbornness is, right? Because you change, you don't get it easier anymore. Now you need to fight for it.
You mean easier because you got the past client sphere.
Yeah, I'm just saying if your base so always makes 70% of your business come from past clients or center of influence, it's always easy because somebody referred it to you. Now the market might change. You're gonna need to fight it with the for sale by owner. That alone, that change is a little uncomfortable because now you don't get the client to sign on the dot right here. You need to fight for the listing.
True. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think that's important, Michael. And I mean, I guess my question is, complacency can fit into that, and stubbornness. But I guess the question I want to get to here is in that way is why don't we do it? We need the money, and if we're making less money, why don't we do those activities? And by the way, there's a number of agents in our company are making less money. They're making more money. Well, how does that happen? They had the best year in their careers, and they're beating the best year in their career already, and it's almost July 1st. How does that happen?
They don't want it bad enough.
Well, remember, these people came off of the best year in their career, so they had every right to be a little bit complacent. And yet they're out there beating last year's year, so they're not that complacent. That makes sense? I don't know. Think about it. There's so much opportunity out there for us right now. The more, and you've got to hear me on this. The more difficult the market is, the better it is for agents like us at Masters. It just is. Anybody that's been running their company, any broker or owner or manager, isn't doing what we're doing. If they're going to change, they're going to play catch up. Well, how many years does it take to catch up? And do you have the capital? A lot of companies, and this by Compass and what's that other company that did this? Forgot the name. Another big one. They're cutting expenses, etc. We're not. We did years ago because that is what was called for in the marketplace. Right now, this is when we are going to excel. This is when we're going to shine. Then this is where we're going to push all the buttons to help you get more business. This is where we grow the company and take market share. Okay. The last time this happened was in 2006, 7, and 8. We were a $10 million company. By 2012 and 14, we were a $30 million company. We came roaring out of that problem. You can do the same thing now. We should be able to move this to a $56 million company. But while we're going to be that kind of a company, each one of you are going to make more money because our focus is about helping you make more money now, right now, with the scripts you're using, the calls you make, the digital strategies, the predictive analytics. You know, we talk about the predictive analytics, 2-bedroom, 1+ bath condominiums. I should get calls from associations telling me, call your people off. Call your people off. You're talking to too many of us. 2-story properties where we have 60, 70, 80-year-old owners that can't go up and down the stairs. Call your people off. Neil, help me, please. Okay. That would put the biggest smile on my face and make Robert so happy he would do 3 dances today instead of just 2. Right, Robert?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. All right. Okay, so I wrote down here, let's talk about some things and some changes that you should be making. All right. Number 1, meet more people, prospect, door knock, phone prospect, door prospect, hold more open houses, go to more social events, talk to more people. Use the scripts to open the conversations. Keep in mind, there are more people out there that don't know you than people that do know you. So keep talking to people. If you've talked to everybody in your past client and sphere base, and I know that you guys haven't, you want to hear it? You want to hear a truth? People have 1,000 people, let's say 500 people in their past client and sphere base, a real 500, okay? And I get this message all the time. I called everybody in my database. What do you mean you called them? Did you call them and talk to them? Well, I dialed them. I dialed 500 numbers. Okay, but we know you're only going to talk to 30%. So if you call all 500 and only talk to 30%, you're only talking to 150 people out of the 500. What about the other 350 people there? That's a lot of people you didn't talk to yet. Go make those calls. I wrote down here, follow up on connections, lead follow up, call and email your leads on a consistent basis. Don't take no for an answer when yes is still possible. Write that down right now, okay? Do not take no for an answer when it's yes is still possible with a qualified client. Has to be qualified. You don't lose many deals over following up, but you lose a lot of deals from not following up. You guys get that? Stop it. I wrote down here, know the market, preview property, visit all the properties for sale in your marketplace. Knowledge equals confidence. When you know your market, you will speak with confidence. When you speak with confidence, you will get business. Your competitors will have commission breath like crazy. They will be willing to cut deals and all kinds of stuff, and they're not going to get the business because you have the script. By the way, do yourselves a favor. Don't share that script with anybody. Okay, let's put it under lock and key, because that script is platinum. That split is phenomenal. No sense in putting it in the hands of somebody else. I wrote down here, make a planned professional practice presentation. Know your scripts and dialogues. Learn what to say and how to say it at the highest level. Commit to a script. Stick to it. Learn how to handle the objections. Leads best responded to by a powerful presentation. Knowing not only your listing presentation, but also how to handle objections are critical. Break the cycle of stubbornness. Okay, here's a quick plan on how to supercharge the rest of this year and break the stubbornness in your life. All right, ready? Write this down. Visit 5 expireds every day, and then door knock or call the 10 homes around each one. I want you to door knock them. Okay? Brandon never heard this one. Preview 5 properties daily and door knock 10 homes around each one. Anybody ever hear that one? This will kill stubbornness right away. Third one, spend 30 minutes daily practicing your scripts and dialogues. Next one, spend 1 hour daily doing intense phone follow-up. And then the fifth one is spend 20 to 30 minutes daily managing your past client and sphere database. Make sure that everyone is receiving emails from you and snail mails from you and phone calls from you. Questions on anything I covered today? Hello?
Neil, can I say something?
Of course, Donna.
I actually had a sale in December and I had nothing the first part of this year. But since I've been prospecting with your office, I now have 3 excellent buyers in the $1 million range, 4 active listings, 2 pending sales, and 3 listings coming up. And I wouldn't have these if I hadn't had your office support.
Donna, thank you very much. Robert, don't forget to
That's
send her the
recorded.
bill.
That's recorded.
What?
We're cutting it up. That's the new recruiting pitch right there, Neil. We're just gonna send that out.
Okay, but don't forget to send her a bill too.
Yeah, yeah. No, actually, the check's already in the mail. We already
Checks
discussed
in the
that.
mail. We already
Yeah,
talked
yeah,
about
I was ahead of that.
Yay, Donna. There's nothing special about special people, and I don't mean anything disrespectful, Donna, about that. What I mean is anyone can do it if you will do it. Okay? That's what I learned from Mike. Mike told me that a long time ago, way before I lived in Beverly Hills and Newport Beach, and way before I had a really cool car, and way before I had money in the bank and stocks and bonds. Mike told me, he says, you know, there's nothing special about special people, you know, because he grew up in Garden Grove and I grew up in Pico Rivera. They were very close rivals. Okay. I think that's where the original West Side Story came out from. Okay. Yeah, the guys from Garden Grove and the guys from Pico Rivera, and then they did a dance. Okay, I'm kidding you guys. Don't. Ha 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 ha. Anybody remember that movie?
Yes.
Okay, good. So Nancy and I remember West Side Story. Anyone else?
Yes.
Okay, Robert, we're in trouble here. All right, questions, comments? Any more comments like Donna's? We accept
Yes.
that, and we are recording. Nancy, go ahead.
I agree with Donna that I also came into the beginning of this year with nothing. I think I had 1 closing in January, 0 closings in February, but I put my head down and prospected, and lo and behold, you know, it worked. And I got deals that closed in March, April, May. So it's a 90-day cycle. So if we have nothing right now, it's perfect because we have all the time in the world to build it up.
That's exactly right.
And,
Nancy,
you know,
go ahead, Michael.
no, I'm just saying what you're saying. I think everything about the second half is about mindset. You're talking about these big companies and lenders laying off people. Do you think they are overreacting because their mindset is very negative? That's why they don't want to face this. And depending on the people, we see in the same future, but we see in business. Is that the difference, overreacting?
I don't think they're overreacting. I think they're not looking at the opportunity. Okay. Smart money would say, trim your sails. These guys have been high flyers. You know, neither one of them make a profit, Michael. And they've been pouring money into this business like there's no tomorrow. And they just know that they can't continue to do that. They have to figure out how to make a profit, which is a great opportunity for all of us because we have figured out how to make a profit. And now we have to go after the business in a very big way. That's the name of the game. That's what I've had a number of our agents ask me the same thing. Should I cut back? Should I cut back? And I say, well, look, if you want to, you can do what you want to do. But if you want to follow my lead, I'm pushing forward right now. got the superchargers cooking. Now's the time to make money and take market share, in my opinion. Okay. So let's go get them. You know what, Robert, was it 10 years, 8 years since we had real estate agents calling us to talk about joining our company? Something like that.
Been a long time.
Long time, long time. And we're getting 3 or 4 calls a week right now between the two of us of agents saying, well, you know, maybe it's time we talk, you know, I kind of avoided you for a long, long time, but maybe, you know, I need to talk with you guys. Okay. We're not giving any secrets out that we haven't told everybody in this room multiple times. So let's just crank it up, everybody. Come on. Now's the time. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? What would you like me to talk about next week? As intense, back off. What would, don't show up.
Or
Oh my
knocking.
God.
Neil, if I can share something really quick. I recently attended the Mike Ferry virtual prospecting clinic.
Uh-huh.
And I had not attended one of those before because someone had mentioned that it wasn't very good because it was on virtual, you know, compared to being live.
Right.
But I attended it and it was just great. I mean, I got
Awesome.
a ton of nuggets in, just information and just the community, just the feedback of everyone prospecting. And the coach is actually giving the people tips as they're prospecting, like telling them, like, you know, not yelling, but like talking to them and like close and do this. And honestly, it was intense. It was so good. And I would highly recommend that.
Good.
They're having a live one in July that I'll be there as well. So when you mentioned, you know, some agents want to cut back, I'm trying to go all in and invest. And I already
Smart.
prepaid for the live one in July and another virtual in August. And
Very
yeah,
smart.
I'm
Very
excited.
smart. Very, very smart. Actually, that's a really good segue into, it's 3 weeks to the Mike Ferry event. We only have 60 people signed up. There are a lot more of you that should be signing up and going.
You know, Neil, Mike's really, you talk about very smart. He's brilliant because the timing of the superstar retreat is perfect. As we roll in, we get a couple, maybe 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks of production in, and then we get supercharged, and then we come back and finish the month strong and the year strong.
Yeah.
So I think that's a fruitful time, and I think I'm surprised that we all have only 60 agents from the company signed up.
Well, typically we'll get closer to 75, but there was a time we were pushing 100. And I get that COVID still has some lingering effects, etc. But I'm going to be there, and with or without a mask, I haven't decided. But if I wear a mask, I'm probably going to get a mask that's going to match my shirts. What do you think?
Well,
Okay.
oh.
Go ahead, Denise.
No, I was gonna say zinc and elderberry is really good for your immune system.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, I'll go get a truckload of that.
Oh, I want to add something, Neil.
Go ahead, Frank.
I'm doing this open mic prospecting for this one county, looking for multifamily properties, and I just listed one yesterday from the open mic.
All right, good job. The stuff works, even if you're in a different city or state. Huh? Well, I'm sorry, what was the last thing you said, Frank?
No, it does. It does
Yeah.
work. Fantastic.
Well, that's great. Good to hear. Excellent. Okay, I don't have anything else. Robert, you have a thing?
Sure.